Sam Sampson joins us now from Regina. Sam, police gave that update late this afternoon, and they spoke a bit about their search for those two suspects.
That's right, Vashi, and RCMP say they're doing everything they can to try and track down these two men. They do believe the suspects are still here in Regina, but as you mentioned, they're warning everyone from Alberta to Manitoba.
Our thoughts are with the many victims, deceased and injured, their family, friends, and communities. It is horrific what has occurred in our province today.
A shocking crime in several small communities. 10 dead, at least 15 injured, found in 13 separate locations. It started here, about 200 kilometers northeast of Saskatoon in James Smith Cree Nation around 6 this morning. RCMP say multiple people were stabbed here in James Smith and in the nearby community of Weldon. Police say these two suspects, 31-year-old Damien Sanderson and 30-year-old Myles Sanderson, targeted some of their victims. Others appeared to be attacked at random.
At 8:20, the dangerous persons alert was extended to the entire province of Saskatchewan.
Good looking.
This woman says she saw the emergency alert to stay home. Shortly after, a man knocked on her door wanting to be taken to hospital, but she didn't feel right about it.
This guy come walking up here, and it looked like his coat over his face, and he said, "I need somebody to take me to the hospital. My mouth has been hurt." He said, I've been stabbed and my mouth has been hurt. And I said, "Well, let's see." And he says, "No, it's real bad. I can't show you." I said, "What is your name?" And he apparently said it, but I couldn't tell what his name was.
She did not let him in. At least 3 people were airlifted to a Saskatoon hospital, others taken in ambulances to closer hospitals. The Saskatchewan Health Authority says hospitals had to call in more staff to deal with the emergency. It's believed the two suspects fled in a black Nissan Rogue with a Saskatchewan license plate of 119 MPI.
Their location and direction of travel is unknown. This is why we need everyone in the province to stay vigilant and report any suspicious activity by calling 911 immediately.
Their car was last seen in Regina just before noon local time.
And on that note, Sam, give us a sense of what's happening in Regina, where you are this evening.
Well, when we did get that notification that the suspects may be here in Regina, police warned everyone. They suggested stay at home, just shelter in place. But the problem with that is more than 30,000 people were here in Regina for the CFL Labor Day Classic matchup between the Rough Riders and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. So everybody who came to the game, thousands of people had to have their IDs confirmed at police check stops, and there were extra police at the stadium. Now, going back to James Smith Cree Nation, of course, they have declared a local state of emergency. They have 2 health centers there, Vashi, to help people physically and mentally start healing from this mass murder event.
Thanks very much, Sam. Sam Sampson for us in Regina. Now I want to go back to that resident you saw in Sam's piece. She and her daughter had a brush with someone believed to be one of the suspects. CBC News spoke with them earlier today about what they saw.
Well, I woke up this morning to the alert at 7 o'clock. I heard the alert, it woke me up. So I got up and I had my coffee ready and I came out to sit here in the deck like I do every morning and enjoy my coffee. And this car went flying by.
Kind of got up and we were wondering, I come out here, we were wondering what was going on.
And then a couple minutes later, a gentleman walked around the side of the house and came to the front with something over his face.
And he said, "I need somebody to take me to the hospital. My mouth has been hurt."
And I said, "Well, can I see? Can I see what your face looks like?" And he says, "Oh no, it's way too bad for that." So he kept it covered. And then I said, "Well, I'll have to go call somebody."
So she went into the house and he took off.
This is not a good guy, because he's running away when we offered to help him. So I went in and called the police, and within about 10 minutes, the police were here and got our information, and that was it.
Doreen and Leona Lees in Weldon, Saskatchewan. Mother and daughter spoke with CBC News earlier today about their brief encounter with a possible suspect in today's stabbings. Let's bring in Ellen Morrow on that note, who has been digging into the story for us this evening. Ellen, what do we know about the two suspects?
Well, Vashi, the most important point we can make about the suspects right now is that police are imploring people, if you see them, stay away and call the authorities. The suspects' names are Damien Sanderson and Myles Sanderson. The RCMP say Damien Sanderson is 31 years old, 5 feet 7 inches tall, and 155 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. Myles Sanderson, police say, is 30 years old, 6 foot 1, and 240 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. RCMP say the two may have been traveling in the Arcola Avenue area of Regina. That's east of downtown Regina late this morning, according to a tip from the public. In the alerts throughout the day today, police said the men may have been driving a black Nissan Rogue, Saskatchewan license plate 119 MPI, but police said in their update just before 4 p.m. local time that they don't know if the men may have switched vehicles since this morning. And there is just so much we don't know at this point. What could lead to such horrific violence? There has been speculation as well about the relationship between the suspects, given they have the same last name. Police said this afternoon they're still trying to figure that out. They were also asked whether either of these suspects is known to police. And again, the RCMP wouldn't say anything further on that, though it does appear that Myles Sanderson may have been wanted by police since May, according to a post on Saskatchewan Crime Stoppers, which doesn't include information about alleged crimes at that point. Tonight, there is a dangerous persons alert for him and Damien Sanderson in Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Alberta. Vashi.
Thanks, Ellen. Ellen Morrow here in Toronto. Thank you. For more on the ongoing manhunt Ellen referred to, we're joined by former RCMP Major Crimes Investigator Bruce Pitt-Payne. He's in Maple Ridge, BC. Hi, Bruce. Hello. Good to have you with us. Let's start off with what police are doing right now. What does this manhunt involve? Take us behind the scenes of what you would expect them to be doing at this moment.
Yeah, it's going to be, Vassy, the manhunt and just an immense investigation. The manhunt right now will involve roadblock setup, checkpoints. They will be looking on social media. They will be doing financial checks, anything and everything to find intelligence that could lead them to these two persons. And it's going to be a long, busy night for everybody involved. And I guarantee they're not sparing any person power for that. On top of that, they're processing the scenes as well. They have to have, which I'm sure they have at this point, but the reasonable grounds to even arrest them should they find them, which means they can't just look for them and process the scenes later. They have to happen in concert. 13 crime scenes, 10 autopsies, at least 15 witness interviews from the surviving injured persons. That's just the tip of the iceberg. They are going to be going nonstop and probably be getting help from outside RCMP divisions as well.
Bruce, what does 13 different crime scenes mean from your perspective? What does it tell us about the nature of this crime?
It very much like in Nova Scotia. It was moving, it was rapid, and each crime scene has to be processed separately. You can't just sort of send a bunch of RCMP members in to look at them. They have to worry about cross-contamination accidentally. Everything, regardless of how fast this is unfolding, has to be done perfectly. So it's a matter probably of manpower, person power, sorry, I should use that expression, more so than expertise, and that's where I'm sure they're going to be sharing with other divisions.
And just quickly before I let you go, let's talk about public safety for a second, because police, their instinct is that the suspects could still be in Regina, though the alert has been extended to other provinces. They spoke about that a little bit earlier. How worried should people near Regina, in Regina, be for their safety this evening?
Well, I still haven't heard an assessment of the credibility or reliability of the Regina sighting. They're going to, as I think the chief of police said for Regina, they're going to act on it as if it were 100% real, and that's absolutely fair enough. But they might not be in Regina. They might be somewhere else, and that's not to have people panic. But anybody within that area, including now the adjacent provinces of Manitoba and Alberta, should be vigilant. They should follow the advice on what I thought was a very well-worded alert, which is, just be prudent, be self-aware of where you're going. Don't let strangers into your house. Just be extra on guard until this has been dealt with.
Bruce, I'll leave it there. Thanks very much for your insights. That's
You're welcome.
Bruce Pitt-Payne, former RCMP major crimes investigator, coming to us from Maple Ridge, BC. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau released a statement tonight on the attacks, saying he was, quote, shocked and devastated. And as Canadians, we mourn with everyone affected by this tragic violence and with the people of Saskatchewan. Those responsible for today's abhorrent attacks, the statement goes on to say, must be fully brought to justice. Let's bring in Sam McKeag. She's CBC News' anchor in Regina. Hi, Sam. Active manhunt we were just talking about with Bruce in that city. How are people dealing with it right now?
Vashti, I think there is a real appetite for information. I'd say there's a heightened intensity around the city and around the province. And that's because as we speak, more than 33,000 people are currently filing out of Mosaic Stadium in Regina as the Labor Day Classic has concluded between the Saskatchewan Roughriders and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And before people went into that stadium earlier today, they received a public safety alert telling them about the dangerous persons potentially being in Regina and that they should shelter in place. Also, a number of those people who traveled down Saskatchewan highways to come to that football game were stopped on the highway at checkpoints and asked to prove who they were. Checkpoints on Labor Day weekend are not uncommon in Saskatchewan. They help stop impaired drivers. But asking who you are to prove your identity, that is different.
And police are saying, be alert. Exercise vigilance. We heard Bruce echo that. Have the police given any indication of what exactly people should be watching for?
There are a lot of rumors swirling right now, particularly on social media, but police are saying this is a case of if you see something, say something and call 911. Regina Police Chief Evan Bray says someone knows where these two suspects are and they need to speak up. And also, they have a lot of help from other provincial agencies and from Manitoba and Alberta as well. And at this point, police told us that Alberta and Manitoba police have not given them any indication that the suspects have entered into other provinces. And so they are still treating it like those suspects are in Regina. But at this point, police are doing everything they can in the city and otherwise to do what they can to find Sanderson and Sanderson.
Okay, thanks, Sam. Sam McKeag for us in Regina.